In September 2020, Rafael Nadal stood at a press conference and called the French Open tennis balls dangerous for the elbow and shoulders. Novak Djokovic agreed, saying they felt super heavy. The conspiracy theory claims Roland Garros deliberately switched to slower Wilson balls to manipulate match outcomes. The French Open had used Babolat balls for years until 2020, when they switched to Wilson as part of a new equipment contract. But the timing looked suspicious. The tournament was moved from May to September due to COVID-19, creating completely different playing conditions. Players immediately noticed the balls felt heavier, traveled slower, and bounced lower. Multiple players were vocal, with Dominic Thiem stating the balls were a little bit slower and good for guys like Rafa, for me, who play with a lot of topspin. With temperatures in the 50s and 60s Fahrenheit instead of the usual 70s and 80s, plus frequent rain and humidity, the balls absorbed moisture and genuinely became heavier. The reality is physics, not conspiracy. Cold, dense air significantly slows ball flight and reduces bounce. While humidity can add a marginal amount of weight to the balls felt, the primary factors were the dramatic drop in temperature and air pressure from a typical May tournament. The Wilson balls, with their specific felt construction, were more susceptible to these conditions than Babolat balls. The French Tennis Federation didn't manipulate anything. They just got unlucky with weather and timing. If Roland Garros wanted to favor clay court specialists, they wouldn't need to rig equipment. The surface already does that naturally. But speaking of players getting convenient advantages, for years, tennis fans noticed a pattern at Wimbledon. Roger Federer seemed to get the best court assignments and most favorable scheduling. The conspiracy theory claims the All England club deliberately gave him advantages to help extend his career and boost ratings. Fans and critics pointed to Federer's frequent center court assignments as a potential advantage. For instance, in 2021, a suspended fourth-round match between Daniil Medvedev and Hubert Hurkacz finished on a Tuesday, the day before the quarterfinals, which some argued created a scheduling imbalance. The pattern seemed too consistent to be coincidental to some observers. Tennis scheduling analysis showed Federer received center court assignments frequently during his peak years. Some fans calculated perceived differences in rest time between matches, though these observations were based on correlation rather than documented evidence of deliberate bias. But Wimbledon's scheduling traditionally prioritizes defending champions, past champions, and top seeds for show courts. This same treatment was consistently given to Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Andy Murray. The tournament's scheduling considers broadcast requirements, player rankings, and historical performance. There's no documented evidence of a strategy to specifically disadvantage Federer's opponents. It's simply the byproduct of a star system that exists in every major sporting event. Marquee players get marquee treatment based on established criteria. Speaking of tournaments making controversial surface decisions, the 2016 Rio Olympics tennis event was held on hard courts, and conspiracy theorists immediately cried foul. Brazil hosts the clay court Rio Open, yet the Olympics used green set hard courts. The theory claims this was a deliberate decision to appease top players and align with the profitable North American hard court swing. The timing seems suspicious to critics. The Olympics ended in late August, just weeks before the US Open series, a lucrative stretch of hard court tournaments culminating in the US Open itself. The Rio Open, held annually in the same city, has always been played on clay, leading some to question the surface choice. Tennis fans pointed out that using clay courts would have been more authentic to Brazilian tennis culture and could have produced different medal winners. Clay court specialists like Rafael Nadal and players from South American countries might have had better chances. Instead, the hard court surface favored players who were already preparing for the upcoming American swing. The reality is that the International Tennis Federation and Rio Organizing Committee selected the surface years in advance. The official rationale stated by the ITF was to maximize top-tier player participation by minimizing the disruptive surface change right before the US Open hard court swing. This logistical decision was deemed necessary to ensure the strongest possible field for the Olympic event. It wasn't a conspiracy, it was calendar management, prioritizing player participation over regional tennis tradition. If you're loving this video, subscribe now and help us hit 5,000 tennis fans by month's end. But speaking of players facing testing controversies, some conspiracy theories claim Serena Williams avoided or covered up a failed drug test connected to the French Open. And this theory has no factual basis and incorrectly conflates separate, well-documented incidents with U.S. anti-doping authorities. The theory often conflates separate events, but the most cited incident occurred in June 2018, when a USADA tester arrived at her home outside her designated 1-hour testing window and reportedly refused to leave, prompting a call to the WTA. Serena also publicly complained about being tested far more frequently than other American players, suggesting discrimination. Some conspiracy believers point to these incidents as evidence of a cover-up, claiming the frequent testing was either punishment for a hidden positive test or an attempt to catch her using banned substances. However, these incidents involved U.S. anti-doping agency procedures, not French Open testing protocols. The reality is there has never been any evidence, official finding, or credible report of a failed test or cover-up involving Serena at any tournament, including the French Open. The incidents cited were procedural disputes with USADA, not French tournament officials. USADA confirmed that elite athletes often receive more frequent testing, and no disciplinary action for a failed test ever resulted from these situations. The conspiracy highlights the tension between elite athletes and anti-doping authorities, but it's built on speculation rather than facts. Speaking of ranking and seeding controversies, the theory claims the WTA manipulates its ranking system, or that tournaments manipulate seedings to create high-profile matchups and protect star players. The primary evidence cited is Serena Williams' controversial return from maternity leave in 2018. When Serena returned to competition after giving birth, she was ranked number 451 in the world due to her extended absence. The French Open stuck strictly to WTA rankings and left her unseeded, meaning she could face top players in early rounds, but Wimbledon took a different approach, using their discretionary power to seed her 25th, despite her official ranking of number 183. The inconsistency sparked immediate controversy. Some players, including Dominika Cibulkova, publicly objected to Wimbledon's decision, arguing it was unfair to other players who had earned their rankings through consistent play. Critics claimed this proved tournaments would bend rules for marketable stars, manipulating competitive integrity for commercial gain. But the WTA rankings themselves were never manipulated. Individual Grand Slam tournaments have always reserved the right to set their own seedings based on various factors, including grass court performance, recent form, and special circumstances. The French Open chose strict adherence to rankings, while Wimbledon exercised historical discretion. The controversy actually led to positive change. The WTA introduced new ranking protection rules for players returning from maternity leave, ensuring they wouldn't be penalized for starting families. It wasn't manipulation, it was inconsistent policy application that ultimately improved the system. But speaking of players claiming ignorance about rule changes, Maria Sharapova tested positive for meldonium at the 2016 Australian Open just weeks after the substance was added to WADA's banned list on January 1st. Her claim that she didn't know about the ban sparked conspiracy theories that she knowingly continued using the substance. Sharapova had been taking meldonium, marketed as Mildronate, for years under medical supervision for various health issues, including irregular EKG results and a family history of diabetes. When WADA added it to the prohibited list, they sent multiple notifications to national anti-doping organizations, tennis federations, and player representatives throughout late 2015. The conspiracy theory suggests that a player of Sharapova's stature, with a professional team including agents, coaches, and medical staff, couldn't possibly have missed all these warnings. Critics argued her "I didn't know" defense was implausible, given the resources available to top players for monitoring banned substance lists. The International Tennis Federation initially imposed a 2-year ban on June 8, 2016. Following an appeal, the Court of Arbitration for Sport reduced the sanction to 15 months on October 4th, 2016, finding she bore less than significant fault. The decision stated she was not an intentional doper, but was responsible for failing to check the updated banned list. CAS found no evidence of deliberate cheating, but confirmed she was negligent in her responsibilities as a professional athlete. The case became a cautionary tale about athlete accountability. Speaking of Wimbledon controversies involving technology, the 2009 Wimbledon final between Roger Federer and Andy Roddick was played under the newly installed center court roof, leading to conspiracy theories that the roof's use was manipulated to favor Federer's playing style over Roddick's power game. The theory suggests that decisions about when to close or open the roof were made strategically to benefit certain players. Indoor conditions typically favor players with more precise shot making and court craft, while outdoor conditions can benefit power players who rely on wind and natural elements to enhance their aggressive style. Conspiracy theorists point to the timing of roof decisions throughout the tournament and suggest that Federer, as Wimbledon's golden boy, received favorable treatment. They argue that the All England club wanted to ensure their most marketable champion could continue his dominance on their most prestigious court. But this theory is verifiably false. Match records, broadcast footage, and official reports confirm the 2009 men's final was played entirely with the roof open. There were no weather delays, no rain interruptions, and no roof closures that impacted the match in any way. Federer won 16-14 in the fifth set, in completely natural open-air conditions. The conspiracy is based on general suspicion about new technology rather than actual events. It's an example of a theory that sounds plausible but has zero factual basis in the specific match it claims to explain. Moving to a tournament where weather policies actually did cause major controversy, the Australian Open has long been criticized for inconsistent application of its extreme heat policy, with conspiracy theorists claiming the tournament prioritizes broadcast schedules and ticket revenue over player safety, selectively enforcing rules based on commercial interests. The 2014 tournament became the primary evidence for this theory. Play continued for several days in temperatures exceeding 41 degrees Celsius, 106 degrees Fahrenheit, with players fainting, vomiting, and calling conditions inhumane. Ball kids collapsed, spectators required medical attention, and multiple players retired mid-match due to heat exhaustion. Organizers stated the threshold on their existing heat policy, which was based on a wet bulb globe temperature, WBGT reading, was not met on the earlier days. Critics argued the policy itself was inadequate and failed to protect players. The controversy centered around whether the WBGT measurements accurately reflected the dangerous conditions players were experiencing. Players publicly criticized the policy as inadequate and potentially dangerous. The global backlash was so severe that it directly led to the creation of a new, more comprehensive heat stress scale in 2019. This clear 1 to 5 scale provides specific guidelines for suspending play and removes much of the subjective decision-making. The 2014 incident represents a clear case where public and player pressure forced a major tournament to significantly revise its safety protocols. Whether the original enforcement was deliberately selective or just inadequately designed, the outcome improved player welfare. But speaking of incidents that exposed tennis's vulnerabilities, on August 2nd, 2007, in Sopot, Poland, world number 4, Nikolai Davydenko faced Martin Vassallo Arguello in what became tennis's most infamous betting scandal. The conspiracy theory claims Davydenko deliberately lost the match as part of an organized betting scheme. Davydenko won the first set 6-2 and led 2-1 in the second when something unprecedented happened. The online betting exchange Betfair flagged over $7 million in highly unusual bets on Arguello to win, much of it from Russian-based accounts. The betting pattern was so suspicious that Betfair took the extraordinary step of voiding all bets on the match. As the match continued, Davydenko's level dropped dramatically. He lost the second set and was trailing in the third when he retired, citing a foot injury. The timing seemed too convenient. He withdrew, just as the betting odds had predicted he would lose. The unusual betting patterns and the match's outcome created immediate suspicion in the tennis world. The ATP and Tennis Integrity Unit launched a year-long investigation. Despite the overwhelming betting evidence, they announced in September 2008 that they had found insufficient evidence to support a finding of a violation by either player. No charges were ever filed against Davydenko or Arguello. The case exposed tennis's vulnerability to betting corruption and became the catalyst for creating modern anti-corruption units in professional tennis. Whether or not the match was actually fixed, it remains the sport's most suspicious betting incident. If you're loving this video, you click on the super thanks button and support our channel. Finally, speaking of technology controversies that actually happened, the theory claims that Hawkeye's electronic line calling system either isn't as accurate as advertised, or that its data is sometimes suppressed or goes missing during crucial moments to protect incorrect calls and maintain the illusion of perfect officiating. Players have long questioned the system's claimed accuracy rate, pointing out that even small error rates mean mistakes occur in every tournament. The incident gained traction at Wimbledon in 2025 during a fourth-round match between Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova and Sonai Kartal, where the technology was inadvertently turned off on a section of the court by an operator, and the chair umpire was not immediately informed. This led to missed calls and points being replayed. The incident revealed that Hawkeye could be manually deactivated, raising questions about when and why this might happen. While some players expressed general frustration with Hawkeye's accuracy during the tournament, there are no verified public statements from specific players addressing this particular malfunction. The 2025 Wimbledon incident was a confirmed technical and procedural failure, not a conspiracy. Tournament organizers publicly acknowledged the error and immediately changed protocols to prevent manual deactivation of the system. Independent testing confirms that while Hawkeye isn't infallible, it remains statistically far more accurate than human line judges. The incident forced tournaments to improve their technical oversight and transparency around electronic line calling. Sometimes, the most compelling conspiracy theories are just examples of human error in complex technological systems. Whether these theories hold water or not, they show how much fans care about fairness in tennis. In a sport where millimeters can decide championships, every advantage matters. And we have arrived at the end of our video. Thanks for watching, and click here to watch our next video.